Eileen McDougall's morning began the same way it always did, with the hiss of hydraulics and the clatter of empty blue bins tumbling into an idling garbage truck. Dawn had not yet painted the CN Tower pink, but the raccoons were already clocking out of their night shift. 3 of them waddled along the curb beside Eileen's route, nimble black-gloved fingers prying off green bin lids in search of a final snack. She used to chase them away, back when she was new to the Solid Waste Management Services division. But these days, she mostly saluted them with her coffee mug. They were smart little bandits after all. Too smart, sometimes. "Morning, Lieutenant Whiskers," she muttered as the biggest one raised its ringed tail in greeting. The raccoon gave a crisp nod, solemn as a soldier. Eileen chuckled. "Still outranking me, I see." If Eileen had looked closer, she might have noticed something glimmering in Lieutenant Whiskers's yellow eyes. Something entirely un-raccoon-like. But she had a route to finish, so she slung another bag into the truck's gaping maw and let the compactor roar. By 9 o'clock a.m. she was on her second coffee and her second assignment. Haul an old compactor from the decommissioned Keel Valley landfill to the refurb depot. The landfill had been closed for years, grassed over into rolling hills sprinkled with wildflowers and, naturally, raccoon burrows. Management wanted the rusted compactor salvaged for parts before winter set in. Straightforward job, her foreperson had promised, handing her the keys to a flatbed. Bring the loader, winch it up, and watch your step. That site's riddled with sinkholes. Straightforward never survives contact with reality, Eileen thought, as she parked beside the weed-choked asphalt and heard an eerie chittering echo from the tall grass. The compactor's bulk sat half-buried like a metal coffin at the edge of the hill. Vines curled around its scraper blade. Someone had spray-painted a raccoon-shaped sigil across the rusted panels. Probably kids. Eileen set the parking brake, laced her gloves, and began the winch rigging. The machinery groaned in protest. So did her knees. But inch by inch, the old Titan slid toward the truck. Halfway up the ramp, the compactor jolted and tore free of the winch line, slamming onto its side. A panel popped loose and skittered down the slope, exposing something that definitely didn't belong on government property. A white marble plinth, about knee-high, embossed with brass lettering. What in the recycling regulations? Eileen climbed down to inspect the plinth. It looked older than Toronto itself. Ornate vines climbed its sides. A brass plaque gleamed at the top. Only 4 words, perfectly polished. "Do not compact agreements." Well, that's not cryptic at all. She tried to tip the plinth upright for a better look. The moment her glove touched the marble, a hairline crack snapped across the surface. The plinth split in 2, revealing a hollow core stuffed with parchment. No, with something that looked like parchment but shimmered like oil and smelled faintly of compost. A gust of wind rifled the sheets skyward. The world tilted. A thunderous roar, like a dozen compactors firing at once, rolled beneath the hill. Eileen stumbled back as the earth trembled and a fissure opened in the slope. From it rose the stink of centuries of garbage, rank banana peels, sun-warped plastic and chemical sludge, and, worse, an inhuman war cry. Something clawed its way up the fissure, a colossus of refuse, roughly humanoid but composed of sodden newspapers, rusty shopping carts, snaking lengths of garden hose, full and globs of indestructible chewing gum. 2 traffic cone horns jutted from its head. Fluorescent lamps flickered within its chest like a pulsing heart. Eileen's jaw unhinged. "Nope," she whispered. Then louder, "That was not in the job description." The garbage Titan 1 of several now clambering out of the depths scattered onto the hilltop, roaring in a voice of shredding plastic. Birds scattered. In the distance, car alarms wailed. Eileen sprinted for her truck. But another sound arrested her, the rapid patter of small feet. A dozen raccoons ringed her, eyes aglow, fur bristling. They didn't look cute anymore. They looked organized. The biggest Lieutenant Whiskers himself reared onto his hind legs and shimmered like heat haze. Fur receded into skin, spine elongated, and in the span of a heartbeat a man in a charcoal suit stood where the raccoon had been. His hands, however, still ended in black-furred digits, tipped with nails like obsidian scalpels. A silver diplomat's pin, 2 intertwined tails sat on his lapel. "Ambassador Whiskersworth of the Procyon Coalition," he announced crisply. "We have a situation." Eileen's brain performed a hard reboot. "You're a were-raccoon." "Were-raccoon diplomat, if you please." He adjusted his tie. "And you, sanitation operative McDougal, have just violated Section 1 of the Grand Treaty of Interdimensional Refuse, Subclause 13, preserve the Sigillum Arcano, commonly referred to as the plinth you broke. I didn't mean to. Intent is irrelevant. Treaties care only for outcomes, and the outcome is currently lumbering toward Toronto." As if on cue, distant sirens rose. Over the treetops, Eileen saw another garbage titan hoist itself onto the Gardner Expressway, flinging compact cars like crumpled pop cans. A flock of smaller trashlings, seagull-sized composites of plastic bags and chicken bones circled its head. Eileen swallowed bile. "How do we fix this?" Ambassador Whiskersworth's whiskers twitched. "We must restore the treaty before the cycle of reclamation ends sunrise tomorrow. If we fail, the landfill sovereignty will keep the gateway open permanently, and your city will drown under sentient trash." "Right. No pressure." The ambassador snapped his fingers. 6 raccoons shifted to half-human combat forms, broad-shouldered, fur-mantled, each wielding collapsible grabber sticks like spears. "Our council archived a backup copy of the treaty, split into 4 recyclable ribbons, each hidden at a strategic waste nexus. We require a human partner to retrieve them. One who knows the city's sanitation grid." Eileen glanced at the titans rampaging downtown. "You picked the right gal." "Splendid. Take this." He handed her a strip of neon green material cellophane embossed with glowing glyphs. "It's a translation filter. Wrap it around your wrist. It will let you read treaty script and, incidentally, fend off minor trash spawn. Now, first cache. The materials recovery facility on the waterfront. Time is maggoty." He sprinted on deceptively light feet toward her truck. Eileen gunned the engine. Raccoons vaulted into the flatbed. The back roads were already choked with debris, but after years of maneuvering hulking garbage trucks through snow-glazed alleyways, Eileen could thread a needle at 40 kilometers per hour. She swerved around a sofa, lumbering across the road on spider legs of exposed springs, clipped its armrest clean off, and kept going. "Status report," she yelled. Whiskersworth, standing amid the raccoons, pressed a paw earpiece. "2 titans active in the downtown core. City Council assumes art student protest, as usual. We have until 6:32 a.m. sunrise, and my shift technically ends at 3. Eileen snorted. "Overtime better be paid." The raccoon diplomat's grin flashed sharp canines. "The Coalition's compensatory packages are generous. Think pension in perpetuity and complimentary compost for life." They arrived at the waterfront Mar to find chaos. Conveyor belts whirred unattended, spitting bales of crushed aluminum. From the maw of an industrial shredder oozed a slug-like being made of styrofoam peanuts fused in static cling. It hissed and spat anti-packing pellets. Eileen yanked a trusty snow shovel from the truck's side rack, Toronto's universal tool, and slammed the slug into the shredder intake. It imploded in a puff of squeaks. Another scrap spawn lunged, the neon ribbon around her wrist sparked, projecting a hexagon of light that dissolved the monster into a harmless pile of recyclable 4 plastics. "Nice," she said, admiring the compacted result. Whiskersworth clambered atop a heap of crushed bottles and pointed to the mezzanine catwalk. "Ribbon Alpha." It fluttered from a magnetic crane like a streamer left over from a parade silver film in which holographic glyphs shimmered. Eileen bounded up the staircase 2 at a time, grinning under a swipe from a glove made of needles. She snatched the ribbon free. It coiled itself into her palm, warm as sunlit steel. "First clause restored," the ambassador called as the facility's light stabilized and the hissing conveyors quieted. Outside, a distant Titan stumbled, shedding chunks of itself like a malfunctioning snowman. "1 down, 3 to go." "Where next?" Eileen panted. "North to the organics depot." He checked an antique pocket watch. "And we'll need your green bin passcode." Eileen grimaced. "Hope you boys like the smell of rotting lettuce." They slalomed through the city past Yonge Street, where pedestrians gawked at living towers of pizza boxes, through Graffiti Alley, where aerosol can goblins duked it out in clouds of neon mist, and finally onto the Don Valley Parkway. A garbage Titan lumbered parallel to them, swatting at overhead signs. Eileen jammed the wheel left, careening onto a service ramp, and the Titan's swipe skimmed the truck's roof, peeling off her amber beacon like the lid of a tin can. "Hey, that was city property!" she barked, though the monster could not hear. In the organics depot, steam rose from colossal compost heaps. The air smelled of citrus rinds and fermented kale. Fungal drones, paper cup bodies sprouting mushroom caps, floated like jellyfish, dripping acidic slurry. Raccoon commandos leapt into action, batting drones aside with bag-clip nunchaku. Eileen wove through the melee until she spied ribbon beater lodged in a mountain of coffee grounds. Each step sank mid-calf into warm sludge, but she reached the ribbon and yanked. Suddenly the compost mountain convulsed, rearing like a peat bog kraken. A maw of broken celery stalks opened. "Ambassador, little help!" she hollered. Zisworth vaulted across the pit, claws flashing. He slashed a glowing sigil in the air and the monster froze, decomposing instantly into fertile soil. "Compost does as we command, assuming we're on good terms," he panted. Eileen tucked ribbon beater beside Alpha. The neon cuff brightened, the municipal odor abated. "Titans are destabilizing," the ambassador noted, peering east toward downtown. Indeed, one had collapsed into a pile of inert trash, no more animate than a regular landfill. The remaining Titans, however, converged on a single point. "Of course," Eileen breathed. "They're heading for Green Lane." Toronto's active landfill lay far southwest, a sprawling Greek chorus of garbage. If they merge there, they'll form, I don't know, a mega-titan? "A monstrum refusorium," Whiskersworth corrected. "Legend says it can swallow entire ecosystems. So we can't let that happen." "What about ribbons Gamma and Delta?" "Gamma rests at the Witchwood Barns. Delta beneath City Hall, because politicians enjoy sitting on agreements." His whiskers quivered in irony. "Shoes." "Split up," Eileen decided. "You and your commandos hit City Hall. I'll grab Gamma. Risky. Look, Ambassador, I know those barns like the back of my route sheet. Plus, I've got the company truck and this flashy bracelet. Meet you at Green Lane." Whiskersworth considered. "Agreed. For Toronto." The raccoons saluted. Eileen sped northwest, tires flinging compost. The sky bruised violet. Evening rush hour gridlock was immobile. Petrified by living litter, she flicked on the truck's siren. Reserve for snow emergencies, but she felt this qualified. And barreled up Bathurst. Witchwood Barns loomed ahead, brick walls mottled in mural art. Inside the old streetcar sheds, a farmer's market should have bustled, but now only silence and wind. A ghostly streetcar woven from bicycle frames glided along abandoned rails. Another trashling. No visible ribbon. Eileen stalked between concrete pillars, shovel raised. The neon cuff pulsed, tugging her toward the barn's community garden. Raised beds lay overturned. Tomato vines writhed like green serpents. She spotted a glint in a rain barrel. Ribbon Gamma, coiled like a teaspoon of mercury. She reached in and a hand of garden hose grabbed her wrist. A scarecrow assembled from milk jugs lurched, eyes glowing LED red. Eileen jabbed the shovel, severing the hose limb. She grabbed the ribbon, but the scarecrow knocked her sprawling, plastic boots pinning her chest. Its head rotated, spraying grit. She gasped, tasting soil. Think like a garbage worker, she told herself. Everything can be compacted. She fumbled for her belt, thumbed the button on her handheld compactor remote, standard on all new model trucks, and aimed at the scarecrow. The truck outside whined as its compactor cycled. The remote's transponder locked onto the scarecrow's barcode-like ribcage. Metal whirred. An invisible force yanked the scarecrow, tore apart. Plastic fragments sucked through the barns across the yard and into the truck's hopper. The compactor slammed shut. Recycling day! Eileen coughed, standing. Riven Gamma gleamed triumphant. She secured it with the others and hustled back to the cab. Her phone vibrated, a text from an unknown number, symbols alternating between raccoon emojis and treaty runes. She deciphered through the neon filter, Delta, acquired, hands fusing, green lane now. She floored it, heading for Highway 401. By the time she reached the landfill berms, the moon had risen, silvering mountains of refuse. And there, in the valley's center, the Titans had merged into a singular horror, a skyscraper of trash, legs of stacked refrigerators, arms of tangled rebar, mouth a yawning maw of dumpsters. Lightning crackled from broken Christmas lights along its spine. Lustrum refusorium. At the landfill entrance, Whiskersworth and two battered raccoon diplomats regrouped. Delta's ribbon fluttered from the ambassador's paw. City Hall was eventful, he reported, wiping ketchup from his sleeve. Ready to finalize? Eileen glanced at the mega-titan advancing up the mound, each footstep birthing aftershocks. As I'll ever be. They wove the four ribbons together. They fused into a luminous strip. Words blossomed across its surface. Clauses in arcane shorthand mixed with familiar municipal codes. Clause 9 is unreadable, Whiskersworth fretted. The backup corrupted. Let me, Eileen said. Years of memorizing waste bylaws kicked in. Clause 9, she guessed, governed cross-dimensional transfer of non-recyclables. She grabbed a Sharpie from her pocket, no sanitation worker travelled without one, and, hand-shaking, wrote, all parties shall divert at least 85% of solid waste through responsible reuse, recycling or composting methods, leaving no more than 15% to interdimensional export. Enforcement, shared. The ribbon absorbed the ink and blazed neon. Will that hold? She asked. It's unprecedented, the ambassador whispered. But your planet's sustainability rates just improved drastically. The monstrum refusorium roared, hurling a fusillade of flaming aerosol cans. One detonated beside them, showering sparks. Time to test. Eileen and Whiskersworth lifted the glowing treaty like a banner. Raccoon commandos chanted ancient syllables. Eileen added her own creed. Keep Toronto clean! Light erupted, up treaty to a vortex above the landfill. The Titan froze mid-stride as if struck by an invisible compactor. Its joints unlocked, bags split. A confetti of garbage ascended into the vortex, sifted, sorted, and vanished with harmonious chimes. Smaller trashlings disintegrated, separating into neat piles by material type. Within minutes, the landfill looked almost organized. The vortex dimmed. Dawn tinted the horizon. Eileen exhaled, legs wobbling. Did we? With treaty restored, Whiskersworth confirmed. Gateway sealed. Your Clause 9 amendment accepted by the landfill sovereignty. He extended a paw. On behalf of the Procyon Coalition, thank you, Officer McDougal. She shook, half expecting to wake up in her apartment smelling yesterday's pizza boxes, but the paw felt real, warm. Sirens approached. Actual emergency vehicles this time. A fire chief shouted orders. Reporters' drones buzzed overhead, filming heaps of sorted trash arranged like art installations. What will they tell the public? Eileen asked. The usual. The ambassador smirked. Experimental public art piece gone awry. Torontonians are remarkably flexible about urban weirdness. He reached into his breast pocket and produced a chrome lapel pin, a curled raccoon tail entwined with a recycling symbol. Honorary Deputy Envoy. Wear it during the full moon. We know where to find you. Eileen accepted the pin, pinning it beside her municipal ID. Do I get hazard pay? Better. He tipped an invisible hat. Lifetime exemption from raccoon raids on your green bin. Worth it. She laughed, a tired, joyous bark. As sun crested the berms, raccoon diplomats reverted to their nocturnal guy's fur, masks, ringed tails, and scampered into the brush, chitters fading like settling litter. Ambassador Whiskersworth lingered a moment longer in half-formed, eyes bright. Remember Clause 9, he said. 85% diversion. Your people wrote it, your people must honor it. Toronto doesn't break contracts twice, Eileen promised. The ambassador grinned, turned raccoon fully, and vanished into the shadows between recycling piles that hadn't existed an hour earlier. City staff would spend weeks marveling at how the landfill suddenly met future waste diversion targets overnight. Eileen climbed into her battered flatbed, engine idling amidst the chirp of morning sparrows. Her shift had technically ended, but paperwork could wait. She watched as the sunrise painted the skyline gold, free of trash titans. Toronto looked cleaner than it had in years. She sipped lukewarm coffee, sighed happily, and whispered into the quiet city, "See you on the night shift, Lieutenant."